Hello, I'm Isaac alongside Dave here.
Hey.
This is the Fantasy Boss Show, first episode. And we'll be doing a little bit of a few things. We'll be talking about players on new teams, a little ranking of the NFC North, and then we're getting into the main part of the show, the rankings of the 2019 FCFFL owners. How are you doing?
Doing great.
All right, let's
Ready to
get started.
All right.
First off, quarterback on a new team, Nick Foles, just got that big $80+ million deal to go play with the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think about this?
Nick Foles has done well recently. And so, it's definitely not a sideways step. It's got to be a step up from what they've had. Yeah, I see it as a good move for the Jags.
Yeah, Blake Bortles, not nearly as good as Nick Foles. I think it's a step down for Nick Foles in terms of offense. There's not many offensive weapons except for Leonard Fournette, so they're probably going to be a run-first team still with Nick Foles. Moving on to running backs. Le'Veon Bell, big talk in the offseason. Sat out the full year, got his deal with the Jets. What do you think about Le'Veon Bell in 2019?
Well, there's a few things affecting Le'Veon Bell this year. Obviously with switching teams, that's going to have some effect. The quarterback's going to be different. The passing game's going to be different. Offensive line's going to be different. Coaching's different. He's got Adam Gase as a new head coach, at least for the Jets. His offenses haven't been good the last few years in Miami. They've ranked 14th, 27th, and 26th in offense, and that's going to be a big step down as far as what Bell's been used to. Okay, so he's only 27 years old. He's got fresh legs. I can see him doing very well. The problem in the past with him is he takes a beating. He doesn't go 16 games a year. So when you're taking him, you're looking for production, but don't expect him to be there in week 16 when you're in your championship game.
One thing I see with Le'Veon Bell is he's a guy who likes to sit back, wait for the holes to develop, and then run through. So that works well with a great offensive line like he had in Pittsburgh, but I don't think he's going to get that same protection that he had in Pittsburgh with the Jets. So I think he takes a step down in 2019 from his 2017-2016 years. Moving on to Mark Ingram. Just got a 3-year, $15 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. What do you think about Mark Ingram in 2019?
Well, Mark Ingram, he's going to be the guy. He's not going to be, Alvin Kamara there taking carries away, touches away. He's going to be the guy. They got different quarterback there. They might be focused on the run, but current ADP has Mark Ingram as the 19th running back. I don't know. I think that's a little low. He's going to be the guy. He's going to get the ball.
I would definitely take him at that ADP right there.
Yeah.
I think Mark Ingram gets more carries, less efficient, and a lot worse offense, but I still think Mark Ingram will be better than where you draft him. Moving on to Tevin Coleman. Now, I was really surprised when Tevin Coleman went to the 49ers because everybody was talking about how Tevin Coleman, he won't have Freeman there. He's going to be the guy. But then he went somewhere that had even more running backs. With the 49ers, they have like a bunch of guys. They have McKinnon, they have Mostert, they got Wilson, they got Breida, and now they have Tevin Coleman. Like, I don't think Tevin Coleman will do much in 2019 unless they're able to get rid of McKinnon or something in a trade.
Yeah, with all those running backs, I don't see one really standing out a ton. They're not going to be someone you want to draft in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, I'd avoid that whole backfield altogether. Moving on to wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr. getting that trade to the Browns. Do you think Odell is going to take a step up or step down in 2019 with the Browns?
I think it's going to be similar to what he's been doing. It's not going to be, a huge step up or a huge step down. He's going to get the ball. That's why they got him. And with Jarvis Landry there, Njoku, there's enough for the defenses to focus on where they can't just focus on Odell. So he's going to get his.
Yeah.
I don't know about the consistency week to week. You probably can't expect 100 yards and a touchdown every week.
All right, going on to Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown getting that big $50+ million deal with the Oakland Raiders. What do you think about this for Antonio Brown and how he's going to do in 2019 with the Raiders?
Well, he wants the ball, and if he's not happy, he's not going to produce. So I think they're going to be focused on getting him the ball, or at least getting him the targets. It's a matter of, can Derek Carr connect with him down the field? I think that's what they're going to focus on. And, he may draw a lot of pass interference calls.
Especially with that new rule where you throw a challenge flag on that. I think that Antonio Brown is similar to his former teammate Le'Veon Bell, where he's going to a situation where he's going to get, it's possible that Antonio Brown gets even more targets than he got with the Steelers, because he's going to get at least like 30% target share, because I can't even name another receiver on their team anymore. They need to draft somebody, Tyrell Williams, I guess, who we're getting into, but before they had nobody. So I think Antonio Brown takes a step down from what he's been doing, but that volume will keep him within the top 15 receivers, no doubt. So moving on to his now teammate Tyrell Williams, was moved from the Chargers to the Raiders. What do you think about Tyrell Williams, and what do you think about this move for him? Do you think he is similar, better, or worse?
It's not someone that I'm really looking forward to drafting in my leagues. He's a role player. He's there to make it so they can't just triple team Antonio Brown. He's
more
going to
of a
be
distraction.
Open. Yeah, he's going to be open. Yeah. He's just, like you say, he's not going to be like 30% share of the targets. I don't know. He's something that you might draft late and just hope that he can do well, like in Atlanta last year. Julio Jones being the focus of the offense.
Calvin Ridley was able to step up.
Yeah, he might be like a Calvin Ridley was last year.
All right, so going on to Golden Tate, now with the New York Giants. Golden Tate, I see Golden Tate as, despite his age, taking a step forward, because back when he was with Detroit, the situation he's going to is not that good, because we don't really know if it will be Eli or another quarterback, but at least he's going to a team that they paid him the big money, so they're going to be giving him a lot of targets. When he was over with the Lions, there was Kenny Golladay there, Marvin Jones there, and they had like 3 different running backs that were getting the ball. I see Golden Tate as the easy number 1 option here, besides running the ball with Saquon Barkley. So I think Golden Tate will be able to get more frequent work with this team.
Well, I agree with you that he will do better this year. Last year he was split between Detroit and Philadelphia. This year, going to the Giants, they're losing Odell, but they did just sign Sterling Shepard to that deal, where he's going to be making over $10 million a year.
That is true, yeah.
So I don't know. I think that those guys are going to split the targets. Maybe they end up like the Vikings, Diggs and Thielen, where they're both good for fantasy purposes.
Okay, so just going to be going quick through here because we're getting a little long on time. So Adam Humphries, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Jamison Crowder all going to new teams. Out of those 4, who are you most excited to see in 2019? Who are you looking to draft out of those 4? Adam Humphries, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and Jamison Crowder.
Probably none of them.
None of them?
I'm not looking forward to drafting any of them. Where's John Brown? Buffalo?
John Brown went to Buffalo, yeah.
I guess John Brown.
I would say John Brown also, because the problem with Adam Humphries is he's going to Tennessee where nobody can stay healthy. Mariota's going to be hurt. Even if they bring in Tannehill, he might get hurt. So I just don't like Adam Humphries there. I don't see a consistent quarterback there helping him out. Cole Beasley, I don't know. He's also going to the Bills with John Brown, but I see John Brown as way higher ceiling than Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley seems like more of a role player there. And Jamison Crowder going to the Jets. Sam Darnold's still working out the kinks. They do have Bell, so that could be helpful. Get them more in the red zone for Jamison Crowder to get some touchdowns. But I see John Brown as the clear high ceiling guy to have in this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we're going to a keep, trade, cut. So, assuming for 2019 you finish your draft, you can keep one of these guys, you have to trade one, and then you have to cut one. So for running backs, 3 running backs, Sony Michel, Kerryon Johnson, and Aaron Jones. Who are you keeping, trading, and cutting in this scenario?
Okay, I'm keeping Sony Michel. I think he's done well. He's going to continue to do well. I think he's the main running back. I know they have James White, but they're going to get to the goal line, and they're not going to throw it all the time. They're going to give him the ball. So I would keep him. Trading. First I'm going to cut Kerryon Johnson. I just, that Detroit running game hasn't been good since Barry Sanders left. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he could be good, but out of those three, I'm cutting Kerryon Johnson, and I'm going to trade Aaron Jones. Got a new coach in Green Bay, and I don't know. He's the best running back of those, so I guess I'm going to trade. I think he's the best Green Bay running back. I'll trade him.
I'm going to completely disagree with you on this. I'm going to keep Kerryon Johnson, and here is why. Yes, he has not done a ton for this offense, but they had a few other guys like LeGarrette Blount. He's not with the team. But what they did do is they brought in Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator from the Seahawks, high running team, similar to Detroit. I think that Kerryon Johnson takes a big step forward this year, so I'm going to be keeping him. I'm going to be trading Sony Michel because following the Super Bowl, he had a big game. He was doing well in the playoffs, and I think that owners will remember that, and they might inflate his value a bit because of that. We got to remember this is the Patriots. Bill Belichick, he likes to move the ball around. It might be Sony Michel this week. Next week it might be completely different. While they haven't had someone with the talent like Sony Michel at the running back position, I still think that he's worth it to trade rather than keep. And I am cutting Aaron Jones. I believe that Aaron Jones will be in more of a committee backfield this year. He was in a committee last year, but I just think that there's not a lot of draft capital invested in him. I think that they move the ball around a little bit more. Give the ball to Jamal Williams. Maybe they draft a receiver, give him the ball along with Devontae Adams. While the offense will probably be better next year, I still would rather keep Kerryon and trade Sony Michel. So, moving on to a ranking of the NFC North teams. We are both Vikings fans, so we decided we're going to rank where we think that the teams will shake out next year. So I have the Bears first, the Vikings second, the Packers, and then the Lions. And here's why I have the Bears first. I have the Bears first because defense wins championships. So I think that they take another step with Khalil Mack, and they bring in a few more pieces. And Mitch Trubisky, he's coming in. He's starting to really find his role with this team. I like that Matt Nagy likes to move the ball around, get the ball to the right places. Tariq Cohen is a monster out there. I have the Vikings second, and you have the Vikings first. So what do you think about the Vikings and why you have them ahead of the Bears?
Defense wins championships? Yeah, sure. Last year, the Vikings D was doing pretty well, and then their defensive end had some mental issues and had to leave the team for a while. While that made them take a step back, I think it allowed them to be better for this year because it allowed them to give more playing time to other guys at defensive end, and they're set for this year. They don't have a lot of holes now that they re-signed Anthony Barr. What are they going to do on D? Sheldon Richardson's gone. They can find guys to take that over this year. So on D, there aren't a lot of holes. They're probably, with Zimmer being the coach, they're probably going to draft more for D, even though that's not a need for them. I think they're going to keep their D strong. And I have the Vikings first ahead of the Bears. The Bears are good. It's going to be close. It could really be the Bears first, but
I think they'll both make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they'll both make the playoffs. And I have the Packers third and Detroit fourth, just like you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving into the main event here, we are ranking the owners of our league, FCFFL League 1, in 2019. So, just to recap last year's championship game, you were playing Charlie. Charlie had Cortland Sutton in on that. Was it Sunday night, Monday night game?
Yeah, it was the last game.
Last game, and he scored a touchdown late, and you lost.
Yep, I was going to win if he didn't score a touchdown. That's the only way Charlie was going to beat me. And sure enough, Cortland Sutton, everyone's fantasy MVP, scores the touchdown championship week to win it for Charlie and put me in second.
All right, so starting off with our number one, we both have you at number one. You've been in the championship the past 4 years. You always find a way to work a trade that helps you immensely. Always drafting well, so that's undisputed number one right there. Now moving on, number 2, we have Charlie. And why'd you put Charlie at number 2? I also put Charlie at number 2.
Well, I look back through the history, and this league's been around a long time, and so I say for recent history, I just include the last 12 years because we have 12 teams. So over the last 12 years, I have 4 wins, and I have 3 times I finished second, so 7 times in the last 12 years I've been in the championship. Charlie has won 3 times, and he's finished second once. Just compared to everyone else, him and I are just way ahead of everyone else as far as that goes. So that's why I have Charlie second.
12 years ago, so going back to, was it 2006 or 7?
It'd be 2007.
2007.
Yep.
So here is when, so we're going to have some differences in the rankings, and that's mostly because he values more of past experience, dating back to that, and I value more of going forward, my speculations and predictions here. So third consensus is Doug. I have Doug at 5th. You have him at 3rd. You might know more. I've only been in the league for 2 years, but Doug has always chosen the 12th pick, except last year he chose the 5th pick, and it paid off big time. What did he end up with? Do you know? I'm not sure. He finished off pretty good, though.
Yeah, he made the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, he had a good team. So Kareem Hunt 5th overall, though, but still paid off.
Yeah, after the regular season, he was ranked 2nd. He ended up 4th after the playoffs.
So why do you have Doug at 3rd?
I just think consistently he's a playoff owner, playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So, not everyone you can say that about. We can say it about him, but it wouldn't be true.
Moving on, our consensus number 4 is Damon. I have Damon at 3. You have him at 7. Here's why I have Damon at 3. So Damon, he's always doing something. He's always online learning more about the Vikings or the league. Seems to be pretty consistent in the chat room on the group me. And I think that Damon's going to be able to get some assistance from John, his kid, who's been learning more about fantasy football, and even Simon too. So it always helps to have 2 or 3 people who can help you run your team. Always someone to ask. That's why I have him at number 3. Why do you have him at number 7?
Well, he's been in the league 3 years. And one of those years, he was the toilet bowl runner-up.
That is true.
So, maybe that's just a fluke, but 1 out of 3 years, you're the second worst team. I can't really move you high, even though I know he's following everything closely. He's on top of things. He's asking for help when he's not sure of things, but I had him 7th.
So moving on to our consensus number 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, number 5 is Jake. I have Jake at 7. You have him at 6, so we kind of agree. The reason why I have Jake at 7 is because I was going to have him a little bit lower, but then I realized that he's a bit of a homer. He likes to have a bear on his team. And now that the Bears are good, that strategy actually somewhat makes sense. So I think that even if he drafts his team in more of a homer mindset in some cases, there are plenty of good options out there. Tariq Cohen, Trubisky's even a good option at this point. Allen Robinson could find a way to turn it around. There's a few interesting options there. Why do you have Jake at number 6? Anything else to add?
I went by recent history. So last year, he was the 4th seed after our regular season. You say he's a homer. Well, if he was such a homer, why didn't he end up with the Bears D?
That's the piece to have in that team.
He took the Rams in the 13th round, and the Bears ended up going in the 16th round.
Was Khalil Mack on the Bears before our draft?
Yeah, he was on the Bears before the draft, and that's why he got taken, is because he was on the Bears.
Yeah.
So, that hurt him. Maybe if he
Bears,
takes the Bears, maybe he's in the championship. Yeah. Who knows?
Bears D should be a top 10 round pick with how explosive their defense is, especially in our scoring format. Moving on, number 6 is Brandon. I have Brandon at 10. You have him at 4. Just give the league a little bit of a backstory on how Brandon has done over the past. How has he been doing?
Well, I know he's gone from worst to first. And the 1 year he went first is because he had the number 1 overall pick and took whoever was that everyone's consensus number 1. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's LT or what, but he follows it as much as anyone. And what he does consistently is he takes chances on rookies. And now we're at a time where the rookies are producing. So it's been a good strategy for him. You know, he's consistently up there in the rankings.
The reason why I have Brandon at 10, it's mostly because of time zone. Brandon being over on the West Coast, he doesn't have as much time as we do to set his lineup in the morning. Game's starting at 10 over there. I see that as a disadvantage because you have to wake up pretty early to do that. You don't have plenty of hours to eat and then set your lineup. Similar with the Wednesday morning, the Wednesday afternoon waiver wires. I see that as a disadvantage, and that's why I have him a bit lower. But
all right. Well, one of the things that I had him up there also is he had a win in the last 12 years, and not everyone did.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So next is Jacques at 7th. I have him at 9. You have him at 5. Why do you have Jacques at 5? Anything to add or say there?
Well, you know, I could move him down. I definitely wouldn't move him up from where I have him, but he has finished as a league runner-up one time in the last 12 years. I don't know. I think he's trending up.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, you know, I think when he started, he would show up with a magazine and just kind of pick based on the rankings in the magazine.
Read through it.
You know, 6 months old. And now he's just, I don't know, using more recent info. He might not follow it as closely as everyone, but, you know, he does some controversial things.
He is the only owner with a ring. So that's something he's got going for him there.
Yeah. Well, last year he took Drew Brees in the 6th and then followed that up with Kirk Cousins in the 7th. You know,
and he's done that before.
Yeah, he takes 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're gonna
that's
do
the main reason why I'm at 9.
Yeah, if you're gonna
and that's
do
really
that,
about it.
Trade one of them, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he would just trade one of those good quarterbacks that you take early, he could really help his team. But I can't move him higher.
All right, moving on to number 8, we have Joseph. I have Joseph at number 6. You have him at number 9. Why I have Joseph at number 6 is Joseph, he used to run this entire league. Like, he was winning every single year. When was that? Back in 2003, winner, 2004, winner. He's had a few other wins in there or something. He's been doing well. But over the past few years, he's gotten into a habit of taking plenty of tight ends, even though we do not have a mandatory tight end slot. We have 3 wide receiver / tight end slots. But I have him at number 6 because the tight end is becoming more and more of a fantasy asset. Just look at George Kittle last year. 1,500 yards, plenty of touchdowns. He's really turned it up. And there's also Kelsey, Ertz. There's plenty of options there. Evan Engram. So I see that Joseph's strategy is starting to pay off as the tight end becomes more and more involved in the offense.
Yeah, but last year he took Travis Kelsey, Jimmy Graham, and Trey Burton.
Only one of them really did anything.
Yeah, so I guess you could say that about any position, though. Mm-hmm. You're gonna hit on some and miss on others, but you know, no one else took 3 tight ends, and most people didn't take a single tight end.
Mm-hmm. So moving on, at number 9 we have me, Isaac. I'm at number 9. I have myself at 4. You have me dead last. So this is why?
Okay. I know you've been in fantasy before, but not this league. So this league, you've been in it 2 years, and let's see how you did.
Oh yeah. So last year, I'll
last
address
year you
this
were
here.
Second to last.
Second to last last year.
Yeah.
So I was 5 points away from being last in the toilet bowl. And here's why. I'll give my reasoning. So I had the 12th. I had the option to take the 9th pick, but instead I took the 12th pick because I thought, hey, if I get 2 top receivers, then I'm looking good. But this is a non-PPR league, so that doesn't really pay off.
Yeah, so you got DeAndre
Hopkins and Odell. And coming back, I was like, I should be able to piece together some running backs. But I ended up with Alex Collins, who really let me down, and LaShawn McCoy, who is just old as bones right now. So I think that strategy did not pay off for me. But I have myself at 4 because I know I do the most research out of everyone in this league. I spend the most time on fantasy. I've been doing my research since February. I'm in a dynasty league, so I'm year-round looking at rookies, looking at other people changing teams. That's why I have myself at 4. You have me at 12. I think I'll probably finish somewhere in the middle this year.
Yeah, I mean, in your other leagues, you're not dominating, so that's another reason. If you were like winning your other leagues, then I would say, oh, maybe he just has had bad luck here. Maybe if he would have taken the 9th pick, which I did and did well with it, maybe things would have turned out differently for you. So
Exactly.
hey, you got nowhere to go but up in my book.
Yeah. All right. Number 10, we have Ethan. My brother Ethan. I have him at 8. You have him at 11. So one step above me. I have Ethan at 8 because I know he is in a dynasty league that he won last year, the league that I'm also in. So I know that he's in the know-how about rookies and such like that. But the problem with him, I think, is he focuses more on video games than he does fantasy football. So that's why I have him brought down a little bit lower, because I know he's not as passionate as other owners in this league.
Well, I think most people focus on other things more than fantasy football. So I don't think that's a big knock. Last year, he took Saquon at number 7 overall, and then he came back with Devontae Freeman, Amari Cooper, Aaron Rodgers. Those picks hurt him. Aaron Rodgers, he was the first quarterback taken, and that was a big dud for him. So he would have done a lot better if he would have made different picks, but you could say that about everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But I got him ahead of you just because he won the Dynasty League, and I don't think it was all luck.
Okay, so moving on to our last two, we have Seth at number 11. I have Seth at 12. You have him at 8. Seth, the reason why I have you at 12 is because you took a year off, so you might be a little bit rusty. You might need to kick some of the dust off and readjust to the league. There hasn't been many changes, but I think it's just he'll take a year to get into a rhythm. But he does like to take Vikings players, and the Vikings are doing really well as of recently. So I could see him surprising me here. You have him at 8.
Yeah, well, he actually took 2 years off.
2 years,
You filled his spot.
Oh, yeah.
When he
You're
left. And I don't know, he follows it. I know he's done other leagues. It's not like he's been away from fantasy football, but when he was in this league, if he made the playoffs, he didn't go far. So, I mean, I know he's going to be competitive, but I just don't see him competing for a championship. And I could be wrong. This year could be his year.
Okay, so last we have Dana. I have Dana at 11. You have her at 10. Why I have Dana at 11 is because how has she done in the past? I don't think she has won yet.
In the last 12 years, she made it to the championship game and lost. So she finished second once. But when we first started doing the toilet bowl, she was the first one that was the toilet bowl champ. So dead last.
I think it's just lack of research.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's probably not her main focus in life to win
the championship. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
But anybody on this list could surprise me here. Who do you think from last year will have the biggest comeback this year?
Okay, so who I think is going to do much better this year than last year is probably you, Isaac. Just because you finished 11th last year, there's no way, like you say, you're going to do worse or you're not going to do better. Of course you're going to do better. Just the law of averages say you're not going to be 11th or 12th next year or this upcoming year. The other one I see going up, like you say, is Damon. He finished 7th. And I think just lucky strikes are going to be lucky this year. I think he just had some bad luck.
So now moving into the final segment of this episode is kicker and defense. What are your thoughts on them? I am against kicker and defense. I think that it adds too much randomness to the game. The standard deviation for kickers week to week, it's too high, meaning that you can't really predict it. 1 week a guy could get 0 points, 15, 3, 25. I just think it's too much power for a position that we don't really give much thought. It's a 12th or later round pick almost every year for kicker and defense. Those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. If it's a position that you can stream every week or something that you can wait till the last couple of rounds of your draft to focus on, why do we even have it? I think the reason that we do have it is because it's just always been around. The other reason is you're watching the game. Okay, now some kicking special teams play happens, and it's like you want to have some interest in it. So I think that's why we have it, just because, here's some field goal. Well, if he makes it or misses it, that we want that to have some effect on fantasy, but it really doesn't need to be. It's just, I think, something that's always been done.
If you were to get rid of kicker or defense in our league, and you were to keep the other one, which one would you more get rid of?
I think defense, special teams, I would want to get rid of. They're just so hard to predict who's going to be good week to week. I mean, I would say stream them because you really don't know. With the kicker, it's kind of more tied to how well the offense is going to do. It's easier to predict, I think.
I think that also a problem with defense is sometimes, say your quarterback throws a pick six, then that's negative points for your defense because of the points against rules. So sometimes it might not even be the defense's fault that happened, and they get negative points for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to end off the episode. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Fantasy Boss. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. And thank you.
Hey, I just want to add one thing. A note on our website here. Today is Scott Van Horick's 49th birthday. He's in League 2. So just want to say happy birthday to Scott.
Happy birthday, Scott. See ya.